Today, I wanted to talk about the fear of the blank page. And this is the biggest problem writers have, even experienced writers. But what I tell those who come to the Write Club and those who do our writing course at the end of the year, you can edit something, but you can't edit a blank page. So if you can get something down, you can do something with it. You can get someone else to edit it for you. You can get someone to fix the grammar for you. You can use Grammarly, which is a brilliant app for you to use. But ultimately, you have to get something down on the page because you can't do anything with it. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I'd love to be a writer. This is my ideal." And but ultimately, you have to write something to be a writer. And it's a really tricky thing to have to deal with sometimes when you're facing that fear of the blank page. So today I want you to think about your fear when it comes to writing and that blank page, sitting and looking at something and thinking, what am I going to write about? Because we are all governed by what goes on in our head, and we have this fear of perfection because someone's going to judge us. We've got to put something out there that's perfect, and I've read lots of things that other people have written, and I can never be that good. And the goal is really to overcome that anxiety because it's all nonsense. We know it's nonsense. And if you had a friend who came to you and said, "I want to be a writer, but I'm so scared of that blank page and I just can't get started, I can't find time in my diary to write," you would tell them, stop it, get over yourself, and start writing. That wouldn't you? I think you would, because I think it's really normal for us to be speaking to our friends the way we would speak to ourselves. So I'm going to go through a few things with you today because I know that we are scared of putting the right stuff down on the page. We're conscious about that this is going to be rubbish and, will anybody read it? But the truth is the hardest part of writing is getting started. So once you write the first word, the rest happens by itself. I know people who say, they specifically people who write fiction often talk about the story writes itself. And until you put pen to paper, that won't become evident to you. Now, I know that happens with me in nonfiction. I start with a prompt, and I might take a prompt, as simple as what do I feel like today? I write it at the top of the page. And even if I start with that sentence, I feel today, the rest happens. And I find that further down, I start exploring other avenues without me having planned that. So we freeze because of perfectionism. We freeze because we're scared of being compared to other people. And I know that a lot of people who want to write believe that there are rules out there that we have to follow as writers. And it's not the case. There are no rules. That's the beauty of creativity. You can write what you like, how you like it, and express yourself in a way that you feel is you, because that's the most important thing. So let's not start with brilliance. Let's start with something, because you can only edit a draft. You can't edit a blank page. And remind yourself that you have to get something on that page, because nobody, or the world that needs to read this, nobody's going to read it unless you write it. So I heard this phrase recently, and I think it is so apt. Writing is not about performing, it's about exploring. I love that. It's not about performing, it's about exploring. And you can always come back and fix something at the end. So you have to start with the first version. So what I would suggest is if you're stuck with this, if you're watching this and you think, "Oh, I'd love to be a writer, and I just don't have, I just don't even know where to start." The first thing is to say, "Today I want to say," and take a blank piece of paper. I have drawers full of blank piece of papers, and write at the top, "Today I want to say." As simple as that. And then set a timer. Now, I set a timer on my phone where it actually blocks out notifications. I've also suggested that I've timed my kettle. If I fill my kettle to full, it takes 7 minutes to boil. So I can sit at the kitchen table, and for the time the kettle is boiling, I can write about what I want to say today. How am I feeling? Start with something as simple as that. Today I feel. And, you know, if you're honest about how you feel, then the rest of it will come. And start with a thought that leads to a conversation, because that often is how writing happens. And you can talk it out loud first. I often do. I talk to my dog. I talk to myself. I can talk to an app. I have an app on my phone, which is called Otter. I'll pop the link here. Talk into it about how you feel. It'll transcribe that for you, and that's the beginning. Now, you can also use a prompt, and I have daily prompts on my WhatsApp channel, so I'll pop the link here for you to go and have a look at those. We're on day 80, is it 81 of 100, I think? But if you use WhatsApp, you can go to the updates tab in your WhatsApp app, and you can follow my channel, and you can get a notification, or you can turn the notifications off and just go to that every day if that's what you want to do. So, you know, you don't have to be profound. You don't have to be, you know, the Vincent van Gogh of writing. You just need to get started. So some of the prompts that I have on there is, how are you feeling? What is my relationship with my body? What is my, how do I feel about time? Because we all know that we are either very late, you know, always late to everything, or always early. And then just explore for yourself what that means, but explore that not in thinking, but putting pen to paper. Another prompt that you could try is things like, one thing I've learnt this week. If I could tell someone one thing today, what would it be? If someone asked me about, and this is a great prompt for getting started on a book even, because if there's something that people always ask you, people often ask me about, there's the start to something that could take you on another journey. You could even start with something like, here's something I believe that other people might not. And these are not, you know, long, complicated essay type theses that you're going to be handing into a lecturer. Consider them a spark that's going to get your fire burning, the fire in your heart, the fire in your soul, for you to be able to write. So don't put pressure on yourself, because nobody has to read this. That's the other thing. Nobody ever has to read this. If you are not happy to put it out there, then nobody has to read it. You can actually just burn this on your fire, what you've written, or you can stick it in a book and come back to it in a year's time. But I know that once you start and you feel passionate about the topic that you start writing about, you might feel the confidence grow, and that's when you're ready to put something out there. So you don't have to write a whole page. You can just start with the first word, write one sentence if that's all it takes. Because once you get over that blank page, the rest comes easier, and you'll surprise yourself. I promise you, you will surprise yourself, because there's so much more inside you than you ever realized.